Now let's talk about driving application innovation with hybrid cloud. Most organizations have a large application portfolio with hundreds to thousands of apps, and sometimes even tens of thousands of apps. Now, a common approach is to assess the entire application portfolio to decide which approach is best for each type of application. And that's spanning software as a service, infrastructure as a service, serverless technology, and of course, hybrid cloud. Now, for applications such as SharePoint, Exchange, and Office, customers can move to Office 365, a SaaS solution, to get the latest and always up-to-date innovations. And some applications, you might want to move quickly to the cloud without modifications to gain cloud scale and efficiency quickly. Now, these can migrate to virtual machines running in cloud infrastructure. For applications that are mission critical or core to your business and require that continuous innovation, this is where hybrid cloud and application modernization most often come into play. Using a combination of cloud technology, including things like containers and serverless technology, it enables you fast innovation and ongoing application development agility. Now, there are also applications, or even parts of applications, that must stay on premises for a variety of reasons. It could be regulatory requirements, data sovereignty, network latency, or simply just not ready to migrate. Now, for these applications, you can bring the cloud to your data center to build and run a cloud model on premises. And you can also connect on-premises apps to cloud services. Microsoft offers a great set of services and tools to let you take advantage of cloud across all of these scenarios. We offer software as a service solutions like Microsoft 365 for productivity, collaboration, and Dynamics 365 for business applications. And Azure offers a rich set of infrastructure, serverless, and DevOps technology, so you can migrate and innovate in the cloud and use a hybrid cloud approach. Now, speaking of hybrid cloud, Azure Stack is a very unique cloud offering that brings Azure to your data center. And since we launched Azure Stack in 2017, it continues to provide a unique hybrid solution, enabling a consistent cloud-native approach right within your data center. Now, Azure Stack delivers hybrid cloud solutions that address core industry scenarios of edge and disconnected, regulatory compliance, and modernizing applications. Azure Stack is an extension of Azure, and we're seeing customers use Azure Stack in hybrid scenarios as well as edge scenarios, such as retail floors, oil rigs, and even cruise ships. Azure Stack gives you the ultimate consistent cloud experience across your hybrid environment. Now, built using cloud-inspired infrastructure with deep collaboration and co-engineering support from partners like Intel, Azure Stack allows customers to develop and deploy apps in the cloud, on premises, or at the edge using the same development tools, APIs, and processes. Now, the result is simplified admin experience, increased developer productivity, and consistent software delivery. Customers are using Azure Stack in a variety of ways and locations. Azure Stack has customers in 60 countries and across many industries like banking, public sector, and retail. For example, Airbus Defense and Space turned to Azure Stack to meet requirements on regulatory compliance and data governance. They found Azure Stack to be the only technology in market that could meet their needs and allow them to create modern apps that leverage things like IoT, big data, machine learning, and other cloud services. Let's take a look.
Airbus is a leading company in the aerospace industry. We are also a leading company in defense and space. Innovation is our lifeblood. Our needs for digital transformations are we need to get significantly better at designing, building, and operating very complex products. That means that we need to reduce our time to market.
3, 2, 1, launch.
The other challenge is how we commercialize our existing offerings or create completely new offerings enabled by digital means. This requires that we look at all the modern digital means to fully automate our engineering, operations, and manufacturing processes. We really found Azure Stack the only suitable solution for us. We need to be able to store and efficiently analyze data. Our customers are particular with their requirements around data governance. This is why we chose Azure Stack as a technology deployed within our own data centers to meet our customers' requirements. Microsoft has a very unique solution here. We wanted a strong global partner that we can fully trust in that these technologies will increase in being built out over the time. Service capabilities that will be very important for us are IoT services. The second category is everything around machine learning and also big data. Digital transformation is not only the introduction of new digital technologies for us, it's also a significant change process in our organization. I really want my engineers to focus on the value that differentiates us and build this on a platform stack which is always up to date and leading edge. Azure Stack will allow us to create our applications much more quickly without having to focus on the underlying layers of a cloud platform stack. The future of Airbus Defence and Space is certainly that we will provide superior products to our customers.
We continue to bring more Azure services to Azure Stack. Some of the recent innovation includes a preview of Azure Event Hub on Azure Stack to build stream processing solutions on premises and deploy event-driven solutions. Another service in preview is Azure IoT Hub on Azure Stack that establishes bi-directional communications with your IoT on premises and provisions devices at scale. Azure Stack does an incredible job of bringing Azure services to your data center. But as we mentioned earlier, customers continue to run many virtualized applications on premises in their data center environments. Sometimes it's not an option to migrate these applications to the cloud, or maybe there's little value in updating that application at this point. And often they're running an aging and expensive hardware that is nearing the end of life. So our customers have been asking us, can we find a way to refresh the hardware for this class of applications and still get the cloud benefits? The answer is yes. Today, I'm pleased to announce a new option for your on-premises apps, Azure Stack HCI. With Azure Stack HCI, we're bringing our existing HCI technology into the Azure Stack family for customers to run virtualized applications on premises in a familiar way and enjoy easy access to Azure management services. I'd like to introduce Erin Chappell, who will tell us more about Azure Stack HCI. Welcome, Erin.
It's great to be here, Julia.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show. Now, here is Azure Stack HCI in all of its glory.
Amazing.
And then, of course, there's Azure Stack. And this is Azure Databox Edge, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But back to Azure Stack HCI. Tell me about this new device.
Yeah, well, with Azure Stack HCI, you get the best of Microsoft's software-defined compute, storage, and networking technology, all running on standard x86 systems from our hardware partners, including the support for the latest technologies like NVMe drives, persistent memory, and remote direct memory access, or RDMA networking. You can roll it out in as little as 2 nodes, which is what we see here, or up to 16 nodes. And this is ideal because you may have a lot of remote or branch offices that only have a need for a small system like this one in every office, or you may be running in your data center and you really want to scale up.
Yeah, it makes sense. Now, beyond kind of the understood benefits of HCI and efficiency and whatnot, what's unique about Azure Stack HCI?
Well, Azure Stack HCI allows you to easily connect these systems to Azure to really enjoy out-of-the-box hybrid management of your traditional virtualized workloads in the data center. For example, with Azure Site Recovery, instead of having that extra data center that's somewhere across town or in a different region, you really can use Azure for site recovery or failover of your on-premises workloads. And we're seeing customers really want to consolidate their data centers. Sure. And with Azure Site Recovery, that's a service that helps customers do just that. Azure Monitor is another example. And so with Azure Monitor, you can now take advantage of cloud-based monitoring that allows you to monitor your workloads, whether or not they're running on premises on Azure Stack HCI or Azure Stack itself, or in Azure.
Got it.
And you can do all of this from a single cloud-based monitoring service with Azure Monitor.
Fantastic.
So let's take a look in this in action.
Let's do it. Our first showcase of Azure Stack HCI.
Exciting. Well, Windows Admin Center is a browser-based application. It comes at no additional cost beyond Windows Server. And we launched Windows Admin Center about a year ago. And since then, monthly, it's managing nearly 2 million nodes.
Wow.
Yeah, very exciting. Admins can manage, for example, their 2-node or 4-node Azure Stack HCI cluster with Windows Admin Center. The HCI cluster manager can be used to add or input and then configure an HCI cluster. Not only that, the admin can set up monitoring dashboard using a modern web-based GUI. Once you're in the dashboard, you can get deeper insights into your server nodes, the performance, firewall, network connectivity, to name just a few. To top it off, you can install this management solution in less than 5 minutes, and it's production ready. Today, we are very happy to introduce a new feature in the Windows Admin Center portal that will significantly simplify our customers' experience. We are introducing Azure Hybrid Services that consolidate the Azure services available for use on premises. This new functionality lets you discover Azure services and learn the benefits of the services you may want to take advantage of. The single pane of glass also lets administrators easily install whatever services are needed. Azure Hybrid Services brought together the existing tools for disaster recovery, file sharing, monitoring, and point-to-point connectivity. We are constantly adding new services, such as the Azure Security Center. Azure Security Center provides deeper security monitoring into your IT estate for compliance and addressing vulnerabilities. Now, let's take a look at how easy it is to set up one of our most popular services, Azure Site Recovery. Once I select Install, it takes me to this server's VM tool with the ASR setup opened, and I can start setting up this host right away. I see basic details about the resources I want to configure to create this server with ASR. And so let's enter my credentials, the resource group, and the recovery vault. I'll select the West US Azure region and hit Setup. Installation is kicked off. As it will take a couple of minutes, let's go back to the All Connections to see a server that's already been configured with some of the Azure services. If I connect to a server with more Azure services already enabled, the Azure Hybrid Services tool serves as a single pane of glass for me to see all of the enabled services. I can easily get to the relevant tools within Admin Center or launch out to the Azure portal for deeper management of those Azure services. We are excited for customers to use Windows Admin Center to manage their Azure Stack HCI solutions and use the Azure Hybrid Services to easily leverage the power of Azure to augment their on-premises infrastructure.
Now, this is fantastic. So when can customers get their hands on Azure Stack HCI?
Well, Azure Stack HCI is generally available today. Customers can buy Azure Stack HCI systems from our partners and roll them into their data centers right now. With more than 15 partners and over 70 configurations, from the smallest, like the 2-node system we saw earlier, to the largest systems, you can choose what works best for your workloads. You can go to our website where you can find the full catalog of all of these solutions. And also, I'm really excited to announce the Windows Server Virtual Summit for 2019 will take place on May 22nd, where we'll dive deeper into all the technologies behind Azure Stack HCI. Registration is coming soon, and we really hope that you'll tune in.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Erin. Appreciate you being on the show.
It's great to be here today. Thanks, Julia.
Good. Now, with the addition of Azure Stack HCI, now you have access to the entire Azure family: Azure, Azure Stack, Azure Stack HCI. Microsoft is the only cloud provider with this comprehensive set of hybrid solutions, giving you more choices so you can pick the right tools for your needs.